Can I say how much we all welcome him here today for this first monthly interrogation in the House of Lords, which I'm sure he's likely to enjoy. After all, by his very presence in this chamber, he's given a fillip to those of us who have to go around saying, "Do you know who I used to be?" but can I commend him on the fact that his very first visit as Foreign Secretary was to Ukraine, because the Ukrainians are not just fighting for their country and for their land and for their lives, they're also fighting very much for us. And surely the fact is that they don't actually need more visits and more speeches. They need more weapons, they need more guns, they need more ammunition, and they need more equipment. And in that context, therefore, could I ask the Foreign Secretary this question? Why was there no additional military aid offered in the Chancellor of the Exchequer's autumn budget? And why is there no perspective on military aid for 2024 when the 2023 money is going to run out in a few weeks' time in March next year?
Well, can I thank the Noble Lord for his question, and also say that I absolutely remember not only who he is, but who he used to be, and he was an incredibly effective Secretary-General of NATO and did fantastic work. And it's actually worth recalling some of the things that he said to President Putin back in the day in 2002, 2003 that are very relevant today. To answer his question directly, I think we have given £4.6 billion of military support. We'll continue to give the support that's necessary. One of the things I found very impressive about going to Ukraine is how much they rate our support, how they refer to us as their number one partner. And it's been very good to see that. I think the one area where we can do more is in trying to mobilise the British defence industries to produce the stocks that are needed rather than simply running down stocks. We can also work with European allies to sometimes, if they are reluctant to give support, they may be able to backfill some of our capabilities and we can give more. But I'm absolutely clear the military support is essential. That is what is helping Ukraine to succeed.
My Lords, in joining in the welcome to my noble friend and wishing him every possible success, does he share my concern at the slowing up of the counter-offensive in Ukraine? And will he make it a particular study of his to see what can be done to increase the weapons supply so that these brave people, who, as Lord Robertson said, are fighting for us, do succeed?
I thank my noble friend for his question, and well remember when we were on the campaign trail together in Staffordshire. He was rather more successful. He fought Staffordshire South, I fought Stafford, and Stafford fought back rather effectively at the time. What I would say to him is I think we should actually be clear about the success that the Ukrainians are having. It's not much remarkable. And of course, the land picture is one thing, but what's happened on the Black Sea, where the Ukrainians have pushed the Russian Navy right back across the Black Sea, sinking a number of their ships and opening up this grain corridor for ships. And that is essential because ultimately we need the Ukrainian economy to grow. They are now, ships are sailing, exports are moving, the economy is growing. They destroyed about a fifth of Russia's attacked helicopters in one night recently. So yes, there's been a difficult picture on land, but overall big success. And combine that with the fact that this country is now knocking at the door of both NATO and the EU, that is a very positive picture for Ukraine that I think it's important we get across.
Come the Noble Lord to his position and to your Lordship's House. My Lords, it's clear that whatever the outcome of the war, economic support on a considerable scale is going to be needed in Ukraine for many years to come. This has to be an international effort led by Europe, and if there's to be a coordinated European response, the UK has got to be at the heart of it. So what institutional framework involving the EU and the UK does the Noble Lord propose to ensure that economic support is provided in the most efficient and effective way?
Well, I thank the Noble Lord for his question. I think there are two answers to that. One is the EPC, this new body that brings together EU members with other European countries, including the United Kingdom. That is a good forum in which to talk about our support for Ukraine. I think the other is the Ukraine Recovery Conference, which we hosted here in June, and that will be a regular fixture. Other countries will host it, and that brings together everybody to try and make sure we maximise the economic support. And I think it marshalled something like $60 billion of economic support for Ukraine. So I think there are ways of making sure we combine effectively with European partners and others to get this essential assistance in place.
My Lords, in answer to Lord Robertson's question about what the government is committing in the way of weapons to Ukraine for 2024, the Foreign Secretary made lots of nice phrases and comments. But I wonder if the Foreign Secretary can actually answer Lord Robertson's question: what commitment can the Lord Foreign Secretary make in terms of what weapons and how much are we spending on weapons for 2024 for Ukraine?
Well, I thank my noble friend for the question. I don't have the figure here for what 2024 will provide. All I can say is we are absolutely committed to continuing to support Ukraine at the level or even ahead of what we've done. And to be clear about this, it's not just the scale of support, it's the type of support. One of the things the UK has done, and I pay tribute to my successors as Prime Minister in this, is always being ahead of the game. Lots of people were worried about giving them NLAW anti-tank missiles. We went ahead and did it. Then others did. Lots of people were worried about giving support in terms of tanks. We did it and others followed. Same again with long-range artillery, and crucially the same again with the Storm Shadow missiles, the long-range fires so-called, which have made such a difference right across the battle space. So we'll continue to support them at that level, asking them what it is they most need and making sure our support is effective.
I just want to reiterate, as I have done before, our full support for the government's actions, militarily and economically, and humanitarian support for Ukraine. But the noble Lord said we must remain ahead of the game. And one clear thing that we need to ensure is that the people who have caused this war, the government that has caused this war, pays for the rebuilding of Ukraine. And of course, the EU has already set out a plan to repurpose Russian frozen assets. Canada has passed laws to do it, and the US has drafted laws to do it. So when will we see this government act and not be behind the game?
Well, let me thank the noble Lord for his question. I think it's an extremely important point. It's one of the things I've looked at since taking office. I'm going to Washington this week and we'll be discussing that specific point with my counterparts in the United States, because to me it's clear, this is confiscated money that is for the benefit that should be taken away from the Russians that possess it, and should be used instead, as it were, of reparations coming later. Use it as a down payment now. Now, of course, there are all sorts of legal concerns, all sorts of concerns about precedent, all sorts of concerns about chilling effects on investment and the rest of it. But I'm with him, as it were, on the moral and emotional stance that this is the right thing to do. Let's see if we can get it done.